Hello everyone, my name is Christian. Welcome back to my hobby blog. Today I'm very excited to be sort of laying out what my plans are for my rereads this year because I haven't really done like a TBR for like 2025, but I have a big shelf of books that I've shown a few times on the channel, so instead of doing that, I decided that I really wanted to kind of plan out what I wanted to reread this year because I want to read mostly new books this year, but I do revisit my favorite books every few years. And this year is going to be a few books that I haven't read in a number of years, one of which has been almost a decade since I've read any of the novels. And the other ones I will give more details on as I get to them. So the first series that I'm going to be rereading is one that I've actually haven't finished yet. I read the first two volumes of it, and then I kind of stopped because I just missed so much, and I knew I needed to reread this. So I am currently on my reread of Book of the New Sun by Gene Wolfe. This is the Shadow and Claw edition of this book, which is both book one and book two published into one volume. And they also have a book three and four of Book the New Sun published together, which I have on the shelf over there in the TBR shelf. But I haven't read those yet, but I have read the first two books of Book the New Sun. I loved it, but I had no idea what was going on. So I'm rereading it, and oh my god, this book is getting... This book might be my favorite book by the time I finish it, because oh my god, I'm on chapter 16 right now, the Rag Shop, for anyone who's read the book. And I'm just like amazed at how much I've missed. I have a friend of mine who I've kind of talked about before on the channel, but he is a Book the New Sun like mega fan, and he finished Book the New Sun. He hasn't read Earth of the New Sun, which is kind of like the epilogue of Book the New Sun, but me and him have been sort of analyzing it every chapter together when we talk on call, and it has been so much better reading this book on reread than it was on first read. So I'm excited to read this, to finish Book the New Sun, because this book, like books 1 and 2, I felt like were 9.5 out of 10s for me. It was just really deep writing, very multi-layer. There's a million things happening all at once. You're not gonna catch everything, and it's a story about the sun dying and humanity sort of having to wrestle with that, and in this sort of post-apocalyptic world where every few some amount of years, I don't know exactly, but the sun dies out and is reborn again and again. And there's a lot of details to be caught in this series, and I'm just really excited to finish rereading the first two books and then going on to the unread books. I am very excited and also very afraid to see how complex and just amazing the story will end up being. But the next series that I want to reread is one that I have finished, but the sequels just finished releasing last year, I believe, in 24. And this is the series by Tad Williams. This is Memory, Sorrow, Thorn. I had to remember the name of it for a second. This is an amazing, amazing piece of fantasy literature. This is basically the bridging series between Lord of the Rings and like Wheel of Time, because this came out in the 80s, I believe. Maybe the 70s. I don't think so. I think it was 80s. But I read this way back during COVID, during that summer. And I just really love the characters. I love the world of it. I love the magic system. It's very soft magic system, as Brandon Sanderson would say. And I just love the story as well. There's a lot of magical swords as well in this story, which is one of my favorite parts of fantasy, are the magical swords that have names and it means something, and they have different powers and all this stuff. But I did not like this book at all on my first read. I appreciated it for what it was, but I really enjoyed the last 100 pages or so, maybe. And then it wasn't until I got to Stone of Farewell, which is book 2 of Memory, Sorrow, Thorn, that I finally got it. Because book 1 is very much like a old fantasy, slow, following the main character as they get their feet under them, and sort of very much struggling through the story, trying to find where they're going, and it's a hard book to read. But I think once you get past the first, I think it's the first 200 pages is kind of the setup for this book. Once you get past that, this book is much easier to read. I enjoyed it much more in the second half, but again, it was the last 100 pages that I really became invested in the story. So I really recommend reading these, and I'll definitely do reviews of these books as I reread them. But yeah, I cannot wait to reread these. The sequels have just finished coming out. I have the bridging novel, which is called The Heart of What Was Once Lost, I believe. It's really small on the shelf. I'm trying to see it, but I have the bridging novel between this series and the sequel series, and then after I read that, then I'll dive in to finishing the sequels, or beginning the sequels, which I'm very excited for. I haven't really heard anything about the final book, The Wayward Children, I believe it's called, or The Navigator's Children, or something like that. If anybody has read the final book of that series, please let me know what you think of it, because I want to know if it's worth the journey, because I love these long branching series, and I want to know if it's worth the journey before I get too far into it. So next, this will be the 4th series, or the 3rd series, that I'm going to be rereading. And I've only read book 1, and I was 9 years old when I read it. So it's been about 15 years, has it? No, it's been about 20 years. Oh, God. So it's been about 20 years since I've read this series, but I really want to reread it because this author just released a sequel to it. At least 2 years ago, I believe. But this is Christopher Paolini's Aragon. I'm holding up Murtaugh. I think that's how you say it. I'm only holding this one up because I don't own Aragon anymore. I lost it in a move. But I'm really excited to reread the Inheritance cycle because that was very influential to me in the first phase of my fantasy journey. Because I had Lord of the Rings was the start. And then I had Aragon. Well, I guess I had Harry Potter. But I don't really care for wizard schools anymore. And I never really did as a subgenre. But I really loved, Lord of the Rings. And then I read Harry Potter. I hadn't read Percy Jackson yet. But Percy Jackson was what I read after this. After Aragon. And I loved Aragon. I remember when they announced the movie adaptation, I was very excited because I just heard so many good things about Aragon. I hadn't read it yet, but once it was announced, I started reading it, and I really, really loved it. And I was just really blown away by sort of the descriptions of the dragon riding, and I loved the section where the main character is taking care of the dragon, and we slowly get through kind of all of the trial and error of raising a dragon and all this stuff, and that just blew my mind when I was really small. And I just really enjoy that book, and I just have a lot of good memories of it. But again, it's been 20 years since I've read them, and I don't remember getting far into book 2, so I need to pick those up as well before getting to the sequel. But yeah, I'm very excited to reread Aragon. I will definitely post a reaction to it because I have a feeling that my opinions will change quite a bit. I'm very curious to see how I will respond to Aragon when I get to it. So next, this is more of a sci-fi series, kind of a mix of fantasy and sci-fi. But this is a series that I read, I guess, pre-COVID. Book 1 came out, I think, 2018, 2019 or so. But book 4 is supposed to come out this year, I believe. I'm not sure. I haven't heard anything about it in a very long time. But this is the series by Tamsin Mia, the Locked Tomb series. And I believe on this edition it even says Locked Tomb Trilogy, because this has been expanded. Book 3, Nona the Ninth, was supposed to be, from what I've read on Reddit and interviews and stuff, it was supposed to be like the prologue of Alecto the Ninth, and Tamsin Mia decided that she needed a lot more pages to tell the story, and I'm very happy with that. I love these books. I love the Locked Tomb trilogy. Harrow the Ninth, I think, is one of my favorite books I've ever read. I'm trying to get it off the shelf, and I have done reviews of these books already on my YouTube channel, but I did them so long ago, before I was even what I consider good in podcasting, or just doing YouTube. It's been so long since I've read these books, and my tastes have changed so much since reading these books, that I'm very excited to reread these. And I'll have to see, because I did some pretty long spoiler discussions with my friend Ilana, who had a YouTube channel at one point, but me and her did reviews, I think, for each book except for book 3, because by that point, I think she was busy with college. But yeah, I'll see if she wants to do another discussion with me. I think it'd be fun, because we never did a Gideon the Ninth review, but we did do a Harrow the Ninth review, and Harrow the Ninth is like one of my favorite books ever, because it's in second person, and the way that it's handled is so well done. And I love the way that it ties into like what the story is about, because the second person writing, or POV, is so like out there and different to anything that I've read. I haven't read anything second person, maybe a short story back in school, like in English class, but this is the only one that I've read, and I was just really impressed by how great this book ended up being, because I thought I would be lost for the vast majority of it, but when everything came together at the end of this book, I was just blown away, and I've been really wanting to reread it. When me and Ilana were doing our review of book 2, Ilana and I quickly discovered that there were a lot of things that I did not pick up on, that I should have picked up on my first read, but I didn't, because I was just focused on other stuff in the books or whatever. But yeah, I'm really excited to reread the Locked Tomb series by Tamsin Mia. I'm really hoping that these books come out this year. Book 4 is, at least, because I really want to know how the end of the story is. Nona the Ninth, I think, was one of my favorite books of 23. I think it came out in 2023. I can't remember. I never did much book 2 back then, so I never did a ranking, I don't think. But yeah, that's aside from the point. The final series that I'm really, really, really excited to revisit. It's one that I've always said is one of my favorite series of all time. The author has made it really hard for me to continue loving this series, so I think this is the year that I'm going to reread them for the final time. At least in my brain, the final time, because I do not believe that the final few books are coming out ever. And what am I talking about? I am talking about George R. Martin's A Song of Ice and Fire. This is a really old, beat-up copy, as you can see. I have written in this many times. I have underlined. I have notes and stuff in here. Uh, these books are my favorite series outside of like Malazan, but I haven't read these books since 2016 because that was the year that season 6 came out, for those who don't know. And January 1st, New Year's, every year, George R. R. Martin would release kind of like a New Year's blog update on his blog. And 2016 was the year that Game of Thrones, the adaptation for this book series, was going to go past the material for the first time, past Book 5, A Dance with Dragons. And I was very upset by that when that blog post came out, and he basically said it's not coming out anytime soon. It's definitely not coming out before season 6 comes out. So good luck, guys. Sorry. And I have been heavily part of the fandom for a long time, but since then, that was when I really began reading a lot more fantasy, because I stopped rereading A Song of Ice and Fire over and over again, because before 2016, this was the series that I reread over and over and over again, and I didn't read anything else. I read King Killer Chronicles and something else, like one other series, but like that was it. So I'm really excited to get back into the series because it's my favorite, obviously. But I'm just really excited, especially for the fact that I was 16 or 18 the last time that I read these books. So I'm really excited, having grown up now, being 28 years old, that I'm going to be reading this series with a totally fresh new pair of eyes. And I am so excited for that, because this is my favorite series. So I'm really looking forward to being able to enjoy this series in a new way. I mean, I know this series so intimately, and I've talked about the series ad nauseum online. So, like, I'm not going to... I feel like I've remembered everything, but this is my first, like, from beginning to end read. And on top of that, I will be reading, along with the main 5 books, Knight of the Seven Kingdoms, which is the Dunk and Egg story novellas, which is Swan Sword, a few other ones. You don't list them out, but I will be reading this. I wanted to read it last year, and I just never got around to it. I just could not motivate myself. But now that we're getting into 2025 and the nightmare hellscape that it will be, I want to read this series one last time, depending on how history comes out from here on out. So that's it for today. I just wanted to do like a quick video. Thank you all so much for watching. Are there any rereads that you're doing? What do you think about these books? Anybody who has read the sequels to Memory, Sorrow, Thorn, how are they? Without spoilers, just give me like a yay or nay. If you could give me ratings for each book, that'd be great. I think that's as much as I want. That way I can kind of prepare myself getting into those sequels. So thank you all so much for watching again, and please have a great rest of the day.